Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. I am going to be doing the best books of 2018, just running through a list of about 10 books that I just thought were amazing that I loved reading this year. Let's get started on this video because it's going to be very long. So I'm just going to tell you them in the order of reading. So the first one would be the first book I read in the year and so on. So the first one is Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. So I read this book because I heard there was a movie coming out and I decided it seems really cool, it seems kind of cute, might as well read it. This book made me so happy. I can't even explain how happy that book made me. Just seeing Asian American representation in a book, in a soon-to-be movie, in such a hilarious and satirical and funny way, in a way that Asian cultures don't usually get to be portrayed, in a rom-com, in a satire. It was amazing. I loved it, and that book, it made me so happy. And I actually read the sequel a little while ago, and I read it because I was in a bad place with mental health, and I read it and it relaxed me and it calmed me because it was just so happy and good, and this book is amazing. I'm not even going to summarize it because you guys probably know. You've seen the movies, you've seen the trailers. It's a rom-com about Nick and Rachel and their crazy wild family, and it's amazing. Go read Crazy Rich Asians. I promise you, you will come out happy. The second best book of 2018 for me was Batman Nightwalker by Marie Lu. It actually has a pretty low score on Goodreads, relatively, but this was my first Marie Lu book. I adore Batman. Like, anyone who's been on my Twitter, I adore Batman. And so just seeing it and then seeing the way Marie Lu crafted this world. Also, this is one of the best Bruce Waynes I've ever seen. Like, a lot of other things get Batman right, and then a lot of them push Bruce Wayne's character by the wayside. And I loved this Bruce Wayne because he was perfect. A brooding loner who's trying his best, but really has the social skills of an agoraphobic lobster. I love him. Bruce Wayne is my favorite. So I'm just gonna run through the plot real quick. This is the second DC Icons book. So basically DC has been getting all of these YA authors to write sort of origin books on some of their biggest characters. So like Leigh Bardugo did Wonder Woman Warbringer, Marie Lu, Batman Nightwalker. I think S.J. Maas did Catwoman. DC's trying real hard to diversify from what I can see, and I like it. I'm enjoying it. So this book follows Bruce Wayne before he was Batman, sort of, I think, in between becoming from a teenager to an adult. And these things called Nightwalkers are terrorizing Gotham, and he decides he needs to be a detective and figure it all out. It's great. It's a Batman story. I loved it. I think you'll like it. Marie Lu's writing is amazing, and I just got a copy of Warcross, so I'm excited to read more from her. Yeah, 5 stars. Everyone should read it. The third best book of 2018 was Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda. I know I read it super late. Let's see if I can find the book. Here it is. Okay. Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda. As soon as I finished the book, I actually went and bought myself a copy because it's good. It was so good. It's amazing. Everyone knows what this book is about. I don't even need to give a summary. Everyone knows this book. But I will honestly tell you, I was convinced to read it by Sophia at Fictional Lives. Even though everyone's been reading it, she started talking about it, and she seemed just so excited that I was like, okay, cool, I'll read it because she seems cool. And it was great. It was so cute. It warmed my heart. And if you haven't read it yet, where have you been? Everyone needs to have read this book. The next book is also a booktube rec. It's A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This was recommended to me by Christine at Turning Page 52. Her videos are amazing. You should go check her out, by the way. This is one of the best sci-fi novels I've read in a long time, and I love sci-fi. I've read a lot of sci-fi, but this is a very specific brand of sci-fi that I adore, and I think she created the genre, where it's basically, it's a found family, it's a very sweet, slow-paced story, but it's set in space, but it focuses more on the dynamics between the characters. The world building becomes a background to these characters' lives and their struggles, and just, I adored it. It was perfect. All of the characters were beautifully fleshed out. I adored the general plot, even though the plot isn't at all the focus. And I love the world she created, and I love that she's creating more books on that world. I need to read A Record of a Spaceborne Few, which is the third novel that came out this year, because it looks amazing. It's like a prequel-ish. It's just set in the same world, but it's perfect. I love this story. So I'm just gonna give you a quick summary. It follows this girl named Rosemary Harper. She is applying to be on the crew of this ship called the Wayfarer, and when she gets on, they get contracted to do this long haul, sort of, to a planet that has been isolated for a long time because its people are so warlike. And what their ship does is it punches holes in space so that they can create tunnels to go from one place to another. Like, they create wormholes. And they get contracted to do one to this really far away planet. And so they're on this ship for like months and months at a time. So what you're doing is just following her as she interacts with the crew, a lot of which are aliens, and she forms these bonds, and you can see the relationships between the people already on the ship. It's so amazing. If you like found family, and if you like sci-fi, which are like two separate genres usually, if you like either of them, you're gonna love this book, I promise. The next book I read was The City of Brass, the first book in the Devabad trilogy? Trilogy? Yes. And I actually have a full video on it, if you want to click wherever it'll be. But yeah, I love this book. It's actually sort of been the inspiration for the novel I'm writing right now. All the characters are amazing. I'm not really going to go into it because I have a video, but highly recommend, and the next book is coming out next year, and I'm so hyped. The next book I read was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Again, I think everyone's read this book, but it was fantastic. As someone who grew up reading Holly Black in the Spiderwick Chronicles, where's my Spiderwick Chronicles? Here they are. Okay, that's better. Here, I don't know if you can see it, but I adored those books so much. I read them over and over and over again. And Holly Black is just a fantastic author when it comes to Fae and this lore and the characters she created. Ooh, if you see my my Kingmakers video, I talk about Jude, who is the love of my life. And some of my friends have gotten arcs of the Wicked King, and I see their reactions. Luckily, spoiler free, but I see the reactions on Twitter, and I am so hyped for this book, guys. So, a quick summary of The Cruel Prince. It's the first book in the Folk of the Air series. It's the first book in the Folk of the Air series. So Jude was essentially taken away to the fairy world when she was very young, even though she was a human, and she is trying basically to fit in and become a knight in this realm because she wants to prove that she has power and strength and all that. And her like adoptive father, even though he's the dude who like killed her parents, Maddox, is like a general for the king, and he doesn't really want her to do this because he knows like it's dangerous and stuff. And so at school she clashes with Prince Carden, who is like the youngest prince in the realm or whatever. And sort of through that she hatches a plot. This is such a bad summary. There are probably other videos who do much better jobs of summarizing this book. But basically it's fairies and magic and a human in a fairy realm who is just so badass that she I can't even spoil it. Amazing. Go read the book if you like any sort of high fantasy. I usually don't like very like fae focused stories. Like I liked Spiderwick Chronicles because it's based around the humans who are looking in. But anything that's too Western fantasy I usually don't like. But this was great. Highly recommend it, even though I'm pretty sure like everyone has recommended it. Okay, there aren't that many left. The next book is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I loved this book so much. So this book is a retelling. Let's see if I have it. Yes, I do. Real quick, I also have a copy of The City of Brass, which I forgot to hold up when I talked about it. But isn't this gorgeous? But yeah, anyways, The Wrath and the Dawn with its freaking gorgeous paperback cover. So it's a retelling of 1001 Arabian Nights, and it's beautiful. It's high fantasy romance, non-Western, obviously. It's absolutely beautiful. So basically, the plot is the Caliph of Khorasan has basically been marrying women and then like having them killed the next day. And so the main character, Sherazad, her best friend was a wife to him and he killed her. And so she decides that she's going to go into the palace and kill him. And it's a romance, and there's so much like rich plot and world building, and it's absolutely beautiful, and you guys should definitely read it. Also, like, gorgeous covers. Oh my god. The next book is Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. This is an underrated book that I think everyone should have read. It's has rep, like insane rep, and it's beautiful and it's perfect and it's fun. It makes me happy. This is the first book in the Sidekick Squad series. Jessica Tran is the main character, and this is a world where like superheroes and superpowers exist, and her entire family is superpowered except her, and she just wants to get an internship, and she gets this internship, and it turns out to be with a supervillain. The main supervillain, her parents fight, actually. And the plot progresses from there, and it's amazing. So there's an FF romance in this, and I love them with all my heart. These two characters are so cute together, and I love it. Also, the main character is Vietnamese, which you don't see in a lot. And there's just so much other rep. Like, just look up the book. There's so much rep, and it's done super well, and I love it. It's so good. So everyone should have read this book. It should be way more popular in booktube than it is. So read Not Your Sidekick by C.B. Lee. The next book is To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I loved this book, and I didn't think I would. So I heard there was a movie coming out, and I was like, okay, might as well finally read it. And I checked the Goodreads reviews, and they were all so negative. And I was like, oh, maybe this isn't going to be a good book. And then I read it, and oh my god. Here's the book. And the fact that so many people had been so negative about it blew my mind, because it was the first time I'd ever seen a teen in a book act like a teen. She acted like a real person, not what an adult thought a teenager acted like. And then I looked back, and I saw that all the negative reviews were from adults who were angry that she wasn't acting like an adult as a teenager. We'll never not be salty about this. But yeah, basically, I love this book. Everyone knows about this book. And I thought it was super cute. At least the first one was super cute. It made me so happy. And I want more books like this. And I want a sequel to the movie. And I think this book was great. So I'm gonna skip the next two and go to the last book I read that was my best book of 2018, and then go back to the absolute best book of 2018. So the next is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which was amazing. I think I talked about it in my last video, so I don't really want to repeat myself, but it's basically the story of this woman named Evelyn Hugo who's gotten married 7 times, and it follows her telling her story and all the stuff that wasn't in the media. It has a amazing twist. It has this rich old Hollywood feeling that's just so good. It's amazing. And you've heard so many other people talk about this book, so go read it. And the last one I'm going to talk about is The Thief and King of Atolia, the entire Queen's Thief series, which I read within the span of a month, which is like 5 books I read within the span of a month, because oh my god, these books are so good. So here's my set of the Queen's Thief novels. The Thief, The Queen of Atolia, The King of Atolia, and A Conspiracy of Kings. I need to get Thick as Thieves and then Return of the Thief when it comes out. I adored these books so much. I've talked about them so much on my channel. The first book, The Thief, follows this character named Jen, who is in prison for bragging about how you could steal the king's seal or something, and then stealing the seal. Low-key an idiot, but an amazing thief. And so he gets taken out of prison by the king's magus, who takes him on this journey to steal Hermiothes' gift, which is the stone that is legendary. It's sort of supposed to be from the gods, and because he's been claiming that he's the greatest thief in the world, that I can steal anything, he gets chosen to do it. And this book, man, all of the blurbs are from amazing people too, right? Lanny Taylor, Garth Nix, Lee Bardugo, Cassandra Clare. These books are fantastic. I don't know why they're not more popular, because they're just so brilliant, absolutely brilliant. My favorite of the series is The King of Atolia, but there's so many plot twists in the book that I cannot reveal anything about the other books. You can see it's a pretty manageable novel, which is one thing I love about them, manageable sized YA. And yeah, I think these books are the perfect books. I love them so much, and I think anyone who likes fantasy should read them because they're brilliant. So yeah, those were my best books of 2018. Let me know if you've read any of these books or what your favorite books of 2018 were. Bye guys!